Hey, my creative friends. My name is Shannon from shannonstudio.com. And I am here to talk about a creative life. We are on day 340 and we will go into August 1st. So we are on the home stretch month. Hey, Trisha. And so we talk about a creative life. We're talking about reasons to join the Creative Heartbeats Club that will launch on August 1st, but we'll sign up at the end of the month. Hey, Allison. And so that's what we do here. Today is the 4th of July in the States, Independence Day. And in Sweden, we obviously they don't celebrate that. So this is our second 4th of July where there's nothing going on, nothing. So it's just interesting to not be there. And I know there's a lot of bitterness towards America because of the failures we've had in having a clear, hey boyfriend, can you turn that down just a little bit? Because I can hear it like echoing over there. I know there's a lot of people who are dissatisfied with America, and rightly so, and that we need to do better. We definitely need to do better and bring ourselves up to where our collective actions match our collective beliefs. A lot of people feel like we should just throw out America's government and throw out all the systems and throw out everything. And I don't happen to agree. I do think there's things that have to happen, things that need to change. There has been a disbalance in things, unbalanced. So definitely we have to, but I still am celebrating, even though we're not doing anything, I'm still celebrating Independence Day. I still believe in the freedoms we have had, and I believe in the freedoms that we should still fight for. So that's my view of the 4th of July. But today, as I was going through Facebook, and then this is our topic for tonight, going through Facebook, I saw somebody I follow, and they posted, hey Tamara, they posted about asking about how to get over depression and what some of the things that people do to get over depression. And so there were several things mentioned. One of them was exercise in different forms like yoga or swimming or doing different things, but the whole idea was movement, moving your body, getting out there, being active, and that shifts how our brain, the brain chemicals, and so it helps to overcome depression. Then another one was eating. Somebody specifically said ice cream, which I totally get too. Another was music, and more passively as in listening to music. And music is so powerful. I totally get that. And then there was somebody who said something about they get over depression by their overwhelming sense of duty and knowing a lot is riding on them. And I thought, which was interesting to me, which I totally get that too. I think it's valid. I thought it was funny because the other ones, all the other comments were more contemporaries of the person making, or the inquiry, and the other one was more of a generation above that group. And I thought, the discrepancy right there was generational. That it was just like, you just push through it, you pound through it. Now, all those things are totally valid, and I'm not saying that they're not valid, but I was just surprised nobody said creativity, being creative. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to study that a little bit today. So I did. I went and started looking up things and looking up research papers and seeing what's been said. And a lot of what's been said is basically you can't be creative while you're depressed. And then there was a lot said of that being creative creates mental illness. And that's what I found interesting too. And so I'm going to talk about, I figure we have to talk about that if that's some of the going research. So during one of the results and reviews from a research, it says, where am I reading this from? From the Winchester Hospital Health Library. They say the research and reviews highlighted the fact that there is not a lot of solid evidence to tie together creativity and mental illness, despite this idea persists with the general public and with the researchers. And it does persist with that. I mean, I've heard it, and a lot of people go to some really famous people who have had mental disorders, mood, what is the word I'm looking for? Mood disorders. And so they tie that together with its creativity. Now, here's an interesting thing, that it almost contradicts itself. And I'll read it and you can see if you agree. But in the study by Dr. Nancy Andreessen, The Relationship Between Creativity and Mood Disorders, she says there appears to be a strong association between creativity and mood disorders. However, the overall literature supporting this association is relatively weak. So there's a lot of association, but those associations are weak. And she said that the research that was done wasn't done well, basically. It was inconsistent, not done well, no control groups. I mean, it's just, so I don't know, it appears to be a strong association, but with weak. So it just seemed contradictory to me. But there are plenty of other things that say that there's not really the connection that people want to believe there is. There's another quote by psychiatrist Kay Jamison, and she says she's bipolar, manic, and she notes in her book Touched by Fire, the majority of people suffering from mood disorders do not possess extraordinary imagination, and most accomplished artists do not suffer from recurring mood swings. So I just kind of am, you have to address certain things that are said about creativity. So I'm not going into it with the idea that there's absolute no association at all. I think there's an association, just like with a lot of things, there's an association. And what I came out with this as well is that there was a big tie-in with rumination, where you just reflect on the negative feelings over and over and over again, that was more associated with depression than creativity was with depression. And so we kind of have this thing, and I was reading today, I told you I was reading, that at some point, everybody believed in the past that mostly all the things that we had about us were genetics, that you couldn't do anything about. Even if you were a criminal, that was genetics. It wasn't anything you could do about. So that was the nature of who you are, and that wasn't going to change. Nothing overcomes nature. And then you have the other group, and I think we're kind of in that group now, where it's nurture, where you're not born with anything. In fact, I think, I know everything is figure outable. She says babies are born a blank slate. And so they blame everything on the parents and their environment. I heard a psychiatrist talk about narcissists yesterday, and they blamed everything on the child or the adult being a narcissistic person on the parents. And I just want to say, well, wait a minute, there's DNA that proves we come with things. And in her book, Dr. Nancy Andreessen says that it's really shaped by both things. It's shaped by our genetics, and it is shaped by how we're born. And there's what we're raised as, or around, or focus on. Allison says, maybe it's not that mental illness is caused by creativity, but several famous creative people happen to have mental illness. Correlation is not causation. And I thought the same thing too, Allison, that I think that that's what, sometimes it's sensationalism that gets people to make these things, these generalization, these correlations and not causations, so that they can sell an article or be published or, different things. And And then it gets picked up as like a viral sort of thing where we start going, oh. And that's why when I'm doing things, I really try to look at the research so that I probably do say things that are correlative and not causation, but I try to like put in things that, you know, are researched and well thought out by at least other people. And then I just share it. So that idea is that we have genetic things and nature and nurture that both shape creativity. Another thing that Diane Early, E-A-L-Y, I wonder who said that. She says, repressed creativity can express itself. Okay, so repressed creativity you hold back and you don't practice. So repressed creativity can express itself in overwhelming stress, and perhaps the most insidious and common manifestations of repressed creativity in women is depression. So I thought that is totally interesting. She says the adult who isn't expressing her creativity is falling short of her potential. And I totally think that. I totally think that when we start to get to our most creative nature, that we're different people. We're starting to come from a place within and not so reactive. So I just thought all this was so interesting. I wanted to talk about the depression and how people tie creativity and depression. Allison says, absolutely. We're seeing that in the media today, meaning one example is used to prove all points. Painting life with, I'm trying to like see more. With broad brushstrokes is dangerous. Yes, painting life with broad brushstrokes is dangerous. It is. And so I think that's why we have to be well read. I think that's why a liberal type of education where you study from lots of different areas is really good, because then you can start to connect the dots for yourself. And also, one of the studies said there's about a fourth of American women are depressed. And I thought, if you take that correlation, not that a fourth of the women are not that creative where it's causing them to be depressed. I think they're depressed, and there's lots of women who are not creative that are depressed. So where do we go from here? Let's see, where do we go from here? Like I said, consistently, writers with mood disorders indicated that they were not able to be creative when they were either depressed or manic. And that seems to be a recurring theme that I read too. And for me, it goes, if I'm mad, I have a hard time being creative. If there's certain agitated feelings or in depressed, it's hard to be able to create in those moods. I was going to say I have more quotes about that. So studies have shown that expressing themselves through art can help people with depression, anxiety, and cancer. The Harvard Women's Health Watch. There is, hey Joan, there is evidence that creating helps depression. It can't help you. I don't think it can help you in the moment, as people have said. So the idea is that we are creative before we need the help with our mood. It has to happen like preventative care. It's like preventative self-care, where we're taking care of ourselves by being creative before we have those things, so it wards it off as much as possible. It's not a cure-all. Creativity is not a cure-all, but it can help us balance out our moods. And it talks about the art therapy. Art therapy studies suggest that art therapy can be very valuable in treating issues such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even some phobias. I mean, there's lots of research that talks about the benefit of being creative to help depression. And so that's one of the things about Creative Heartbeats Club, is that I'm hoping that in joining it, you and I will be, well, I kind of am already, but I want to help others be creative on a consistent basis. So then we start to develop some of these benefits of creativity because we're doing it on a regular basis. And one of those benefits is to help us be less depressed. And if that's not a great reason to join, I don't know what. And actually, you don't have to join Creative Heartbeats Club to participate in your own creative program. I'm just thinking that it would be easier for us to be able to do that on a regular basis. So that is the tip tonight about how creativity is a preventative and helps mood disorders. That's what we're talking about. So I will be back tomorrow. And in the meantime, remember, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it. And bye for now. Bye. Yeah, bye.